What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we are going to be discussing Dynasty Fantasy Football Trades, and these are submitted straight into the Discord. It is free to join, linked in the YouTube banner or in the description. So go join that if you're not a part of it already. But let's not waste any time. Let's pull these trades up right now and let's start reviewing, seeing some of these submitted trades from our Discord members. So, the first one that we have here, it says 10 team super flex PPR tight end premium start 10, kind of a middling team. Just took over an orphan. So, the trade we have here is Hopkins, Elliott, and Foreman for McKinnon and Trey Lance. Now, he does say 10 team super flex. The most valuable player in this deal is going to be, depending on how you feel with Trey Lance, is going to be between Trey Lance and DeAndre Hopkins. How you feel about Elliott right now, I don't know. Obviously, Foreman's just a guy, and McKinnon's just a guy to me. I don't really care about either of those assets. So the way that I look at it is Lance for Hopkins and Elliott. And if it is a super flex league and you are a middling team, I'm assuming that you think that you're either a fringe playoff team or you might not even make playoffs. So with that being said, I don't mind you, Shane, going and getting Trey Lance, who is the young quarterback asset. Still has, a high ceiling. We haven't seen it develop yet at the NFL level, but I think it's still there. But obviously, if you're a contender, you're going to go for the Hopkins and the Zeke side, just because Trey Lance doesn't look to be starting anytime soon. It's likely going to have to be a trade probably for Trey Lance to start, or it's going to have to take a turn for the worse with Brock Purdy in his recovery because, he's still recovering from that UCL surgery. But I don't mind this trade if you are a middling team looking to kind of rebuild and go get a young asset in Trey Lance, especially in a super flex league. So that is what we have for the first one. Now, Alex submitted this one. He says, huge trade, 12 team super flex rebuilding. So it looks like, man, I wish we could zoom this in. Hey, Alex, next time you submit some trades, let's crop it down a little bit so we get a bigger picture like the last one I just looked at. But it is going to be Daniel Jones and the 201 for Kamara, the 112 and a 24 first. And it looks like he is going to be getting Daniel Jones on this side of the deal. So he's basically moving that 112 back one spot to the 201. He gets a 24 first, or he gives a 24 first away for Daniel Jones, and he adds Kamara in that deal. Says it's a super flex. I don't hate it. I don't know if I would be making this move as a rebuilder because I'm not a big Daniel Jones believer, but I do think that Daniel Jones obviously has shown a little bit for your dynasty fantasy football teams. He is he's a quarterback, and he said this is super flex, so that is the most valuable asset you can get back. Um, quite frankly, we can call that 112 and that 201. They can cancel each other out. So it is Daniel Jones for a 24 first and Kamara. I don't mind this, especially if you project that Strawbridge first to be late. Now, if that Strawbridge first does end up being an early one, I think you're going to regret this trade. But if it is a late pick, I do like this for you because I don't know many quarterbacks that you're going to get in the late first round next year. So, yeah, if you need quarterback and you're in a rebuild, Daniel Jones is still young, and you didn't spend a bunch to go get Daniel Jones. So, as you shouldn't. I don't think you should spend a bunch to get Daniel Jones. So, I don't mind the trade for you. It's all going to come down to how that Strawbridge trade or that pick ends up being valued at the end of the year. Hopefully, it's towards the later half of that draft. Now, we do have another one here from Alex, and I'm assuming it's that same league. He says 12 team Superflex rebuilding. So he is going to receive Duvernay and 224 firsts. He gives up Pierre Strong, MVS, a 24 second, and a 106. So Duvernay, MVS, Pierre, all of this feels like fluff. I really don't care about any of those assets. So I'm looking at it as 224 firsts for the 106 and a 24 second. And It's hard to project. Hopefully that one of these first or both maybe even are early because you did give up a fairly early pick this year. That 106 in your 2023 rookie drafts is going to end up being um, in super flex at least. It's probably going to be like a Jackson Smith, um, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Addison, maybe if you're lucky, a CJ Stroud. That's kind of looking like what it's going to be for your picks, at least based on how my rookie drafts have been. So, do you want to give one of those guys up for 224 first? If you're rebuilding, why not? I mean, you're kicking the can down the road a little bit, but if one of those 2024 first is early, you kind of got a free move up and you get a, forfeit some points on your team this year to hopefully put you in a little bit more of a position to go get a guy like Caleb Williams or Drake May. Now, again, it's going to come down to where these picks land. If these are late first in 2024, I don't like it. I will say that if they're late first, I don't like it. Because I think that CJ Stroud, the Jordan Addison, even I say even Jordan Addison, but him or Jackson Smith and Jigba, I would think that any of those guys is more beneficial than 224 late first. You get a year of development with them too, just on your roster. But if one of those 24 first ends up being early, then we're talking a little bit more. As far as how much I like it. Now, maybe the plan is in 2024, you're going to take both of those picks and maybe something else and package them all together, go get Caleb Williams. I think that's a good plan as well if they do end up being late. So hopefully you can do something like that. Now, Tommy says 12 team, one quarterback PPR. It's one quarterback. He gives up the 204 and the 209. He gets Dak Prescott. I'm assuming you don't have much of a quarterback on this roster anyway. So Dak is going to be traded to be probably your starter. And to me, Dak Prescott is a back end quarterback one for Dynasty Fantasy Football teams. So, you're playing in a 12 team. I don't think it's out of the realms of possibilities for Dak to finish anywhere between like QB9 and, QB 15. So, low end QB1, you're not giving up a ton, to go get this. So, I don't hate this at all. I think it's a good trade for you at the end of the day. You're not giving up too much. You're kind of throwing some dart throws, especially in one QB leagues. Once you get to that 204, that 209, it's going to be a little bit depleted, especially at some of these skill positions. So, how do you feel about Dak Prescott compared to, maybe a CJ Stroud that you could get at 204 in a one QB league? Just depends how you feel. I would rather shoot the known commodity in Dak Prescott, especially if I'm a competitor, which he didn't list it in here, but if he's a competitive team, I'm definitely taking Dak Prescott there. So not a bad deal for you. On to the next. And this is submitted by Tommy. He's going to get, I'm assuming it's the same thing, right? It's going to be that 12 team, one QB, and he's giving up Kadarius Toney, the 104 and the 207. He's going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it's kind of a hefty price, but in one QB, that price comes down a little bit. You're giving up Jordan Addison or Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe. It's probably more likely Jordan Addison or Quentin Johnston, even in this pick at 104 and 207. It is what it is. It's probably going to be like maybe a Roshan Johnson if you're lucky. More likely, it's going to be like yeah, man. It's not pretty once you get back there. Maybe a Marvin Mims. So yeah, I definitely like going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown for that 104. He's, young asset. Still, he's very competitive for competitive teams right now. And I know a lot of people love Jameson Williams. He's obviously suspended for a little bit to start the 2023 season. But I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is the better wide receiver in that roster anyways. So I think he's going to continue to be the first receiving option for Jared Goff. This is a good trade for you, Tommy Football. Now, he says, same thing, Tommy again. He says, different league, 12 team, super flex, PPR. Final trade of the offseason, rebuild, still tanking for 101 next year with Caleb Williams and the devil emoji. Love it. So you're going to get a 24 first, the 105, the 202, and then two whatever pieces. You give up Devontae Adams and Travis Etienne and Isaiah Spiller. I'll throw him in there, even though he's not super valuable. but 105, 24 first, and the 202. Now, if you are rebuilding and you are tanking for Caleb, I am totally for getting rid of Devontae Adams. 31 years old. You're going to get rid of the points, and you're just getting out from underneath him at that age. Even though he still should be an elite asset this year for you, I think he will be. I am not against getting out from underneath that. Travis Etienne, I'm not a big Travis Etienne guy. The value is there, though. You may have sold a tiny bit light on this deal, but to tank for Caleb, you have to kind of get out a little bit light. Anyways, you're going to be able to replenish something at that 105 and at that 202. You're going to be able to replenish something of somewhat of value. Maybe at that 202 in a super flex league, you'll be able to get a Devon A chain. It might be a little late to get Devon. I know in my leagues, he was kind of going 109, 110. He was even going in that high of a range. So 202 might be a little late, but we'll see how that develops for you. But I don't hate dumping some older vets. Even if Travis Etienne is included, like I said, I'm not a big fan of Travis Etienne. I think he's a little overvalued in the community right now, especially with the addition of Tank Bigsby to the backfield. And that may give me hate. I know it's gotten me hate a little bit on a couple of my other videos. People were pretty upset that I said he was overvalued. But I don't hate this move for you, especially tanking for Caleb. Now, here's some more context. He said, this one hurt. Definitely hate trading two good assets in the same deal, but it makes sense for my end goal. Yep, that's exactly what I just said. And that's your first orphan. So good luck on your orphan. Those are always fun to try and fix up. Dewbridge, 10-team Superflex, PPR, tight end premium, contender or not, I am trying my best. And to me, Dewbridge sounds like you might not be a contender. If you don't know, you're probably not. And I only say that because I'm in this league with you. Now, you got Deshaun Watson in the 204. You give up Dallas Goedert, Sky Moore, and 24 first. Now, it's a super flex league. Deshaun Watson is the most valuable player in this deal. I would say the second most valuable asset is probably that 2024 first. Maybe Dallas Goedert. Now, my only thing here, Dewbridge, and you have the confidence in your team. However, you said contender or not. If you don't know, I don't love getting rid of my own first. You did trade your first. So if you don't have the year that you think you could have, maybe you finish out of the playoffs. All of a sudden, this trade gets a little bit different because would you rather have Drake May or would you rather have a chance at Caleb Williams instead of Deshaun Watson? I think it's a possibility. I would definitely rather have Caleb as a rebuilding team than Deshaun Watson. Drake May, TBD, but it's a fair deal. I will say that it's a fair deal. You're probably getting a discount on Deshaun Watson now, but it's going to come down to how does that 24 first plan out? And you saying you're not sure whether you're a contender or not, it's scary to me. It's kind of risky because if you don't finish where you think you want to be and you're a bottom four team, all of a sudden this trade kind of looks a little different. So can't remember what you did with that 204, but yeah, it's all going to come down to that 24 first. Now he says another one from Dewbridge. He says 12-team Superflex PPR non-tight end premium contending team. So he is going to get Javonte, gives up Nick Chubb in the 309. Now you said contending, right? You said contending. 12-team Superflex non-PPR. And I don't like this for you, Dewbridge. I would rather have Nick Chubb as a contending team in a non-PPR. Non-PPR? No, it is a PPR. So I would rather have Nick Chubb. I still would rather have Nick Chubb as a contender than Javonte this year. We look at running backs in such a small, short window. I like to look at them in about 2-year windows because the landscape just changes so quickly and they age like milk on the kitchen counter. That's really how running backs age. So I like Nick Chubb, man. I think he's gonna have a good year. Javonte, you may be waiting a little bit just to come back from some of that injury. If he doesn't, obviously you get the younger asset, and I still like Javonte a ton as a prospect. But as a contending team, if you think you can go get it this year, Nick Chubb is the more valuable asset for the season. Now, long-term dynasty approach, you probably got the better side of the deal. So it just depends on how you feel as a contender. If I'm contending for a championship, I'm rather taking Nick Chubb because I think he scores more fantasy football points this season. Now, I think we only have a couple left. Let's see. We have two more trades that I'm going to talk about today because we are at about 16 minutes here. So we have a 14 team super flex half PPR tight end premium bought right after Gibbs was picked, day before he was traded to Philly, contending. So contending team, you get DeAndre Swift on the Eagles now for Isaiah Pacheco in the 301. And to me, this is pretty clear. I am going to take DeAndre Swift. I think he's the more talented player. He's going to a team that likes to run the damn football. And yeah, you got him at a pretty good discount. Now, funny enough, his value on KTC and some other dynasty websites and stuff, it actually hasn't increased that much since going over to Philly. But I think DeAndre Swift is the better player. I think he's the more valuable asset. And I think he's going to score more fantasy points than Isaiah Pacheco this year. So I like this trade for you. Dubridge going and getting your boy DeAndre Swift, even as a contender. And then last one we have here, it says 10 team super flex tight end premium PPR. Still trying my best. Still trying my best. We'll see what that means. But you're going to get Deontay Johnson, Kyle Pitts, the 208, and a 24 first. You give up AJ Brown and Mark Andrews. And man, this is such a tough trade to evaluate to me because when I look at the trade, two of the three most valuable assets are assets that you are trading away. So you're down tiering a little bit. I would almost say that AJ Brown and Kyle Pitts are valued probably pretty similarly in my eyes. I don't know how the community values that, but I think AJ Brown and Kyle Pitts are probably somewhat similar. And in fact, I might actually value AJ a little bit more than I do value Kyle Pitts. And I probably value Mark Andrews a little less than Kyle. So when I look at this, when it's all said and done, as a rebuilding team, you like the Kyle Pitts, the 24 first, and the 208 side, I think, as a rebuilding team. Now, you say you don't know if you're a contender. If you are a true contender, you want the AJ Brown and the Mark Andrews side, in my opinion, especially with Lamar coming back now because we have that consistency with Mark Andrews where we know what we're getting. But at the end of the day, man, I think it is a fair deal. I I want to say it's a fair deal, but I do lean a little bit more to the AJ Brown and Mark Andrews side, so I apologize for that, Dewbridge. But if you are a rebuilding team, I completely understand going Kyle Pitts, 208, 24 first, and Deontay Johnson. So solid trade. A little it conflicts with me on this one. I feel like I could be swayed either way, depending on the actual direction of your team. But you saying you don't know, whether you're a rebuilder or a contender, that makes it hard for me to judge. So, my gut wants to have AJ Brown. He's the best player in the deal. I want to have AJ Brown on my team, and I love Mark Andrews. So that is the side that I will lay with today. And with that being said, man, that is going to be it for our Dynasty Trade Show. So that was episode 8. There is a trade down here already loaded up for episode 9. If you are not a member of the Discord, go join the Discord, submit your trades because they will be reviewed on episode 9 of our trade show. These trade shows happen bi-weekly. So get them in, and we'll see you guys on the next one. I don't have anything else for you guys today. I will see you later. Peace out.